Hey everybody, welcome to Dad Talk. Today I'm your host, Eric Carroll, and we are joined with a very special guest, Mr. Mike Lindell from My Pillow. Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing great. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Man, you know, you have done so much good stuff here recently. We saw the documentary, we see all the hard work that's going on. You know, Mike, we talk about a very important issue that we don't think is getting enough coverage in America, and I just want to get your thoughts on it. The father absence, the fatherless issue that's going on.
Well, the fatherless thing, that goes back before all the problems with the China virus and then the selection fraud. Before that, you had addiction. I mean, my platform, LindellRecoveryNetwork.org, I set up, most of addictions come from your fatherlessness. They come from childhood. They come from trauma. I come from a divorced family when I was 7 years old, back when divorces weren't common. So I get put into a new school with, I'm the only kid from a broken family. And I'm going, what? Well, for my life, I would either show up or I wouldn't talk to people. It became these wounds, fear of rejection. So if you don't talk to people, you don't get rejected, right?
That's right. That's right.
And false, then you get into addictions, and I think they're masked for pain. They're masked for the underlying issues. And when you talk about fatherlessness, they did a poll in a prison in Kansas. And how many of all the inmates, now these are felons, so it's over a year, it's not county jail. So how many of the felons you think are in prison? Both their parents got married, they had their child, and were still married while that guy was in prison.
Oh,
Zero.
That's right.
Zero. That's how much it affects the children. And you couple that with taking God out of our schools and God out of our society, you take the family unit out, that's where we're at in this country and we're around the world.
Yes, sir. And some of these parents, and especially fathers, are fighting tooth and nail inside a family court, spending hundreds of thousands of dollars and still not getting access to their children. And it starts becoming a hopeless situation. You're right. It starts turning into substance abuse. I'm a former addict myself, Mike.
What?
10 years ago, I was an opiate addict. And I've heard you've got a similar story. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, I got into cocaine in the early 2000s. I was a compulsive gambler. I had a bar for 13 years drinking, and it all switched to crack cocaine in the early 2000s. And I invented My Pillow in 2004. I quit everything by the grace of God in 2009. And I want to tell everyone a story there. When you talk about hope, addiction can be beaten, it's your faith-based treatment centers, your stuff. You need the foundation of God. But I'm going to tell you what happened with me. There's an intervention. I was in downtown Minneapolis, and I was up for days. I've been up for almost 2 weeks without sleep. I come out of the bedroom, and here's all three of the dealers, the biggest dealers, and they're standing there. I go, you guys know each other? They knew of each other. The one guy goes, you've been up for 14 days. We're cutting you off. And I go, what is this, an intervention? They go, call it whatever you want, Mike. And I went down to two of them left. The one guy finally fell asleep, and I was out of crack, and I went down the streets of Minneapolis. And it was 2:30 in the morning, couldn't get crack. Nobody would sell me crack. They had got the word out. You sell to some crazy white guy with a mustache, will kill you, Right. So nobody would sell me crack, right? So I come back upstairs, and he's waiting for me. He goes, man, how'd that work out for you? And I go, and I was so upset. He goes, you know what? Give me that phone. I'm going to take a picture of you. And he says, you're going to need that for that book you've been telling us about. And here's what he said. You've been telling us for years that this My Pillow thing is just a platform for God, and you're going to come back and help us all someday get out of this addiction world we're living in. Now, two of those guys work for me. They're born-again Christians. I mean, that's amazing. And we do have that, the LindellRecoveryNetwork.org. It's the best platform for getting help ever online, ever. And we talk about the fatherlessness, this course we have on there, stuff that addiction's not a disease, people. Addiction is a mask for pain. It's a false courage, the devil's lies that say I'm not good enough, or I'm unworthy and I don't fit in. And these were the lies I got. And here, look at me now. I can't stop talking.
Well, you got these guys that's going through substance abuse, family law. They're feeling hopeless. Right. But much like you didn't let that become your story. You turned your pain into purpose.
Right.
And I hope each one of you can take that in.
Right.
You could be the next Mike Lindell. Get out there. Do not be afraid to face your problems.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And Mike, we talk about the cancel culture. I know you've been talking about the cancel culture a lot. It's been kicked off by social media platforms. But if we go back in the 60s and 70s, I think the cancel culture first really hit families in dads.
Oh,
We
absolutely.
we have these anti-family policies and legislation that financially incentivize the removal of fathers from these homes.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
you know, we look at the cancel culture, you guys, this is not something that just happened. It's been going on a long time at the expense of families, and you're a living testament to what happens. You know, these are older policies.
Right,
What that
absolutely.
happens, and then pulling yourself up out of that.
Right.
This is an amazing story you have.
Right, it's exactly, you know, like I say, my parents divorced in 1968 or 69, and I was, 7 years old. I was put into a school, or 7 years old, put into a school. I was the only kid from a broken family. But then you go back then, the inner cities, the blacks, I spent so much time with my friends. Maybe that's why I fit in so good, because I didn't, I was like them. They don't, the fatherlessness running rampant, and it's sad. You take that and they, it affects you. It affects you, and yet you can have fathers that are there, but they're not there too.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
it could absolutely have that. But you see what that manifested out to is you couple that with taking God out of our schools, and you take that with the rotten teacher unions. And did I say that? These things that they do. They even try. I'm going to tell you the stuff that works. Your faith-based treatment, like your Teen Challenge, your Salvation Armies, your Union Gospel. These places, they focus on fatherlessness. And you replace it with the foundation of God. And I'll tell you, that's why you see in treatment and help out there, less than 5% success rate of any secular treatment. And then you have it's 80% plus for all your the stuff that works. And so the first thing they do, back in my state of Minnesota, we just show you how when government can get involved where it shouldn't be involved. I'll tell you one thing, our great President Trump, what he did is for the faith-based, even for in my realm with the treatment that's out there, the help. Do you know in 30 some states, you have to, in order to help someone counsel an addict, you have to go to school for 4 years, go to college, swim the English Channel, climb 5 coconut trees, all these rules. I'm going, I don't care about them. I want somebody to help me that's been through it.
Yes,
That's been through it.
Exactly.
Someone that's been through it. That's why I can relate. I can identify. I go back down, the inner cities of Minneapolis. I'll go down there. I can identify because I've been there. I've been there both as an addict and with what manifested into becoming an addict.
Yes.
And I'm not saying, people got to be accountable for themselves too. I'm not saying, wow, I can blame everything I have on fatherless now. No, I'm just saying that these are wounds that affected you. You are good people. We all have a calling. We all have a calling. And when you go to my network, LindellRecoverynetwork.org, one of the things I have up there, you'll put in your age and your addiction, and all these people will show up of your age and addiction, and they've all gotten through it. So that's your hope match, I call it. I call it your hope match.
That's amazing.
Like right now, my story resonates with anyone that's been in addiction. And by the way, addiction isn't just people that are in the streets homeless. I've been there, homeless in the street, but they're not just that. It doesn't matter how many forks you eat with, addiction affects everybody. That's from a no forker to a four forker, and I've been in both spectrums. There's probably more addiction over here. You get in the 4-fork range. They just hide it better. They're just functioning addicts.
That's right.
That's it.